7-3 The Fan.
Ledee defended by Whaley. Ledee quickly for two. Aztecs up by one. You got to take it quick. 10 seconds left. Rebels do have a timeout. Thomas has had the hot hand all day. Thomas short. Rebound Ledee. And the foul with 2.7 on the clock.
And with that, the Aztecs are moving on in the Mountain West tournament. They did have to score 2 more points. Final score was 74-71. And if you were watching that game from the beginning, I really think that you probably turned it off and thought Aztecs didn't win this game. But they absolutely won this game. And Jaden Ledee, like, if you want to talk about a guy who's more important to a team, I don't know who else is more important than Jaden Ledee. He literally took the team on his back tonight, and they won the game because of that. But it was, let's see. I think he had 34 points, 16 rebounds. He made that 2 at the end, down by 1. I mean, the game is on the line. The game is on the line, and Jaden Ledee had the ball in his hands. It was a straight-up play that they drew up for him. They scored, and they go on to win. And now they will be playing tomorrow. Matt Skraby here with the Skraby Show. Thanks for everybody joining me here tonight. We are going to be talking about the Aztecs. We're going to be talking about Dylan Cease and see where else we can go tonight. But hopefully you enjoyed the roundtable, brought to you by Roundtable Pizza. I got to say, I know I've been on the SD fat loss diet for a while now, and I had 2 pieces of pizza today, and it was delicious. But now I got to go back on the diet for the next couple of days so I don't, gain all that weight right back. So it was the roundtable is something that's going to happen a lot, and we've done this over the years, and I think it's pretty awesome that everybody can get into the same room. So if you enjoyed that, just know that we have a lot more to go, and Tony and Chris will join the guys as well. You heard Woods. I don't know that he's necessarily trying to get out of it, but he's not opposed to someone rotating into his spot, which, I mean, every week is going to be great for everyone, but those guys get up early, and they're champions, and they're pros, and they do what is best for all of you out there. So appreciate you all. This is an appreciation start to the show because of last night and what happened last night, and the Dylan Cease trade, Sammy Levitt helping me, Craig Elston calling in, Annie Halbrin calling in. It was a big day for San Diego Padres fans. It was a big day for 97.3 The Fan. It's a big day for me personally because I got to finally break some news for once, which I thought was funny because someone said, well, Ben and Woods never get to break news. And I, seem to remember that they got one of the biggest breaking news stories ever, which was Juan Soto being a Padre or being traded to the Padres. So I really think that the roundtable is going to be something that you all are going to enjoy a lot throughout the season. All right, let's go back to this Aztecs game real quick because I have Jaden Ledee. He was interviewed by Evan Washburn after the game. So let's hear from Jaden Ledee. And again, 34 points. Ledee joins only Zach Edey as the only players with multiple games scoring 30 plus points and 15 plus rebounds. So here's Evan Washburn after the game with Jaden Ledee.
Let's go back to you guys are down 1 with about 20 seconds to play. What was the thought? What was the intent with the play that ended up being the game winner for you guys?
It was a little isolation play coach drew up. We had in the bag. We ain't brought it out in a while. So it kind of took him by surprise. A little sweep right, get to the paint, and, I just, made the shot.
What's going through your head in those moments?
Just, play the game, really nothing, just instincts, just go out there and play your game. And, I just did what I practiced 1,000 times.
Whether it was your performance or this team as a whole, what you guys did on the offensive glass, what's it say about where you guys are as a group right now, obviously in a critical time of the season?
It's what we do. We get better in March. This team beat us, nine days ago? So we kind of had a chip on our shoulder coming back and just, we owed them one.
Utah State awaits. Your thoughts on that one?
They're a great team. We're going to go game plan tonight, and we're going to come out and just play hard and compete.
Congratulations.
There you go, Jaden Ledee with Evan Washburn. Thanks to CBS Sports Network for that video. But you heard it right there. We get better in March, and they absolutely do get better in March. Like I said before, you know what? I'm actually going to get into the news of the day just because I need to.
It's time to get caught up on the latest with the news of the day.
All right, so let's continue with this Aztecs basketball talk because, I mean, in the beginning of the game, I don't know that I've seen a team shoot as bad as San Diego State shot in the first half of this game. It was to the point where Chris and I thought that they had the score wrong when they put an extra 3 points on the board for San Diego State going into halftime because we missed the three. But San Diego State was able to somehow find their way to a victory tonight. And their first half shooting, they were, I think, 1 for 9 from three. I'm trying to get the full box score now that we are officially done. But the shooting was not good for the Aztecs. They were 26 for 71 in the entire game, 36% right there. I mean, UNLV was not much better. They shot 40% and they only took 52 shots, but they also made 7 threes and they shot that 37%. The Aztecs only made 6 threes in the game and they were very cold. Micah Parrish, 0 for 6 from 3. Saunders, 0 for 4 from 3. So lots going on in this game. As I said, Jaden Ledee, 34 points, 16 rebounds, only 2 fouls on the day, 2 steals. He's all over the place, and he shot 11 for 18 from free throws. Now, I will say the free throw thing is something that I talked about last year, and it was something that kind of haunted the Aztecs a little bit, but it didn't really matter at the end because they ended up in the national championship game. But making your free throws, or let me do it this way. Missing your free throws is the quickest way to a loss in a basketball game because, I mean, it's in the name, free throw, so you get a free point. But if you miss them, those are the easiest baskets you're going to get all night, and you can't miss your free throws. They shot tonight from the free throw line 61%, 16 for 26, so definitely not good. Chris's stats on the home and away foul disparity, meaning San Diego State gets better calls at home and on the road they get worse calls. But in the end, the free throws were 16 for 26 for the Aztecs and 22 for 29 for UNLV. So pretty even right there. But good win for the Aztecs. Good win for San Diego State. And they're going to be moving on tomorrow. I don't know that we know who they're going to be playing yet. I was trying to find out. This game literally ended like maybe 5 minutes before this started, but I'll get that to you as soon as I know who they're going to play. They might even be playing a team that hasn't played yet, so I believe that's the case. All right, let's go to our next news story of the night, and it is all about the Padres, obviously, and they're in Korea. They landed this morning. Now, Dylan Cease is officially a Padre now. We've been talking about it all day. I think everybody already knows that by now. But the question was, would he go to Korea to meet up with the team? And the answer is yes. He might even be on a plane right now. He might be sitting in first class, I'm hoping, sleeping or whatever it is. But he is going to join the team in Korea, and they are going to be together. And so Chris and I talked about this in the Big Five earlier, which was, the question was, I should say, why even send him to begin with? He's already here. Why not just bring him to San Diego, get him ready, and then have him meet everybody when they come back to town? But the more I think about it, because I was that guy, keep him here, get him ready at Petco Park, let him pitch there a few times, do some bullpens, things of that nature. But the more I think about it, the more I think that he has to go to Korea to be with the team. This is the ultimate team building opportunity. This is the ultimate team building trip. And you saw them all last night getting on the plane in their matching tracksuits. You saw them all last night looking like they were having a great time. And Jerkson Profar looked like he felt okay. But this team, it does seem different from last year. And I will say that as much as I believe it, which is a lot. And so in a weird way of me saying that, I believe this team has much better vibes and feelings going into this year. I don't know what it was about last year. Again, there were some weird things that happened last year. Joe Musgrove hurts himself right off the bat in spring training. Things started down the wrong path early. But I really think that these guys know exactly what they need to do this season, and I really think that these guys are going to rise to the challenge this season. Yvette says, get acclimated with the team. The team will be there for a week. I'm coming around to your thing. I'm not 100% there, but I'm pretty much 100% there. It's already done. He's on a plane. Why do I care if he stays in San Diego or if he goes to Korea? Why not? The one player that is, San Diego is collectively feeling bad for right now is Steven Wilson, a reliever that worked his way up from Uber driver all the way to the major leagues. And I think that's a very cool story because instead of quitting baseball, instead of tucking his tail and running, he ended up he kept pushing in his career, got a spot with the Padres, made the best of his spot with the Padres, but he is now going to Chicago to play with the White Sox. And we found out that he was all ready to get on those buses to head to Korea. I mean, can you imagine if that trade happened 30 minutes later, an hour later? He would be on the plane to Korea and then have to come all the way back. But what happened was he was sitting there with all of his teammates. He got a phone call, and they told him that he was being traded to the White Sox, and it was a stunner. According to everyone who was there, it was a massive stunner, and he was also with his girlfriend, and all the teammates got to say goodbye to him and all that. But he ended up driving up the road to Camelback Ranch, kind of wondering what in the world just happened. And Dylan Cease took his spot on the plane to Korea. So that is sad, but it is part of the business. And I saw a tweet earlier saying he gets paid a lot of money. He'll be okay. And he will be okay. And he's still pitching in baseball and all that. But he doesn't necessarily, if we're talking about money making, he doesn't necessarily have a lot of money that he's making right now because he's still in pre-arbitration. I think last year he was paid $700 and something thousand, which don't get me wrong, that's life-changing money for me. But it's kind of a minimum for those players. And Steven Wilson might get better opportunities with the White Sox, and maybe, who knows, one day he comes back to the Padres. But as for now, he is no longer on the team. In the NFL, last news story here, the Seahawks have made a crazy move, and also the Commanders have made a crazy move because Sam Howell, the quarterback for the Commanders last year, he was being touted as the next great quarterback for the team, and he struggled this year. But the Seahawks acquired him in a trade from the Commanders, and so now Sam Howell is a backup quarterback, and he'll be a backup quarterback under Geno Smith. Seattle received Sam Howell, a 4th-round draft pick, and a 6th-rounder in exchange for the picks in the 3rd and the 5th rounds. So Washington gets a 3rd and 5th-round pick. Basically, this was a move that needed to happen so that they can get some picks. But now you got to wonder. You got to wonder if the Commanders are definitely drafting a quarterback. So this draft coming up here in maybe 3 weeks or so. Let me go look at the draft date just to make sure I have it right. Just so I don't tell someone something and then they go home and they say, Skraby! April 27th. So more than that. Thank goodness I checked. April 26th is the first round. So Thursday, April 26th. And as of right now, we are scheduled. Braden Soprenet, myself, and Chris Ello are scheduled to do a first round draft show here live on the station. So we'll be taking you through all that. I've been doing some studying. I know that Chris makes fun of me for saying that I've been doing some studying, but I have most definitely been doing studying. So I think everybody's going to be impressed with my knowledge. Let's go to the chat real quick and check in with everyone. If you want to watch the show, you can go to YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan. We have Easy Money here. We have Chance. We have Anthony. We have Maria. We have Dominic. We have Castro. We have, I already said Maria. We have Evan. We have Prolific the Great, Jacob, Brutus Fan. And that seems like it for now. But Alex is in there as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And if you would like to watch, again, like I said, go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan. Now, here's a question I'm going to put up right here from Easy Money. And I'm going to talk about this on the other side. How much money we got left to spend? He's talking about the Padres. Maybe go get a cheap bat once the season begins. I will answer that question when we get back. We're also here more from the Aztecs basketball game. We're going to hear from Gary Parrish of CBS Sports. He had some things to say about the game as well. But we are just underway on the Skraby Show. And don't forget, I have a daily gripe at the end. And I think I actually have a really good daily gripe, but it's also born out of pure jealousy. So we'll get to that at the end of the show. You're listening to the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. Thanks for being here with me on 97.3 The Fan. Back here in the Odyssey Palace on 97.3 The Fan, the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for staying around and sticking with me here through 6 o'clock all the way up until 7 p.m. We are going to be talking about the Padres right here and a question that I got from Easy Money in the chat. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But I got a few chats that were pretty hilarious. I have to read real quick. First off, Jacob says, my Jags are taking all your good players, Skraby, Armstead and Ayuk. I went in freak out mode thinking that Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers was now a Jaguar, but it's only rumors at this point that there's interest. So phew, because I do not want them to lose Ayuk. Also, Yvette is here. I'm sorry, Yvette. I know you've been here this whole time. I forgot to mention you. That is my bad. Annabelle also says sup. All right. So another chat that we saw from Derek. How did you not make the round table? That's BS. And it's not. And here's why. Because it's a long season. And truthfully, I got home around, I think it was around 10 o'clock last night. So everything, I'll just let you in. Pull back the curtain. So when I am done with everything, with Gwen and Chris and the Skraby Show, is when I have to go edit podcasts and I have to do everything that I need to do to get ready to leave for the night. So last night, with all the breaking news and everything that was happening, it got all pushed back until after everything. So I got all that done. It was around 9. And then I decided I was going to make a short. If you want to go see me breaking news, I was very proud of myself in this news clip. But if you want to see that, you can go to my Instagram or my X account at Matt Skraby. But so I got done with that around 9:40. It's a half-hour drive home. I live up in the Carlsbad area. So I got home after 10:15. And truthfully, I was beat. I didn't wake up. I usually wake up every single day between 6 and 6:30, mainly because my dog Lucky is waking me up. Today, I didn't wake up until 8 a.m., which is crazy for me. Absolutely crazy for me because it's something it's something in my head. I don't know if anybody else is like this, but if I wake up late like that, and I know that 8 a.m. isn't even late, but if I wake up late like that, I feel like my whole day is shot. So basically where I'm going with this is I got home too late. I slept too late. And so I was unprepared for the roundtable. So that's why it's okay. But who knows? During the season, could have some opportunities to fill in. Same with Braden and same with Paul. So it's, don't worry. We will get things done. But there's also, only a certain amount of chairs in this room. And they had everything filled up today. And Sam Levitt was even in Peoria. So he was not in the studio, and they already had enough people in the studio. Yvette says, hopefully Ayuk ends up in Dallas. No way. No way. And McKee23 says, Skraby gets his own round table every single night. That is actually kind of cool. Hey, Jeff is in the house. Padres no hitter in the house. All right. Hey, thanks for everybody for joining me. Now, the chat that I got earlier that I would like to put up on the screen so I can read it. How much money we got left to spend, the Padres? Maybe go get a cheap bat once the season begins. So here's what Dennis Lin wrote this morning about Dylan Cease arriving to the team. Cease is owed an affordable $8 million in his second to last season before free agency. Fangraphs now projects the Padres at roughly $13 million below a luxury tax line they would still prefer to avoid. So there you go, Easy Money. How much money we got left to spend? According to Dennis Lin, around $13 million. I mean, after that trade yesterday, AJ, I take that back. AJ Preller does like to make moves in flurries. When there's one, there's usually some others. So I don't know if we're going to get some others because they're all the way over in Korea right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was another trade for a lesser player, but I would definitely be surprised if they're going to be signing someone with a majority of that $13 million. I think they want to stay. I think they want to stay where they're at, and they are staying where they're at. And if you think about what AJ Preller is doing with Dylan Cease, because I know that some people think this is an unpopular move because 4 players for 1 player, 1 major league player, and 3 prospects from the Padres going to the White Sox. And I know that does seem a little scary when you're thinking about the future and you're thinking about how the Padres develop guys. But Dylan Cease, this is a creative deal for the Padres in a few ways. The White Sox were just looking to unload him because they needed to try to rebuild their team. And I think that the Padres saw that $8 million salary for Dylan Cease and thought this is the perfect opportunity for us to go get a top of the line pitcher and also only pay them very little. And Craig Elston said this to me last night, and he said it today during the roundtable. But it's very true. The Padres weren't going to be getting much of anything from Jairo Iriarte, Zavala, and also Drew Thorpe this year. Most likely not getting much out of him this year. And the Padres window is this year. And not just this year. The Padres window here is 2-3 years, including this season. But you have to go for it right now. You can't just be 3 years from now thinking, man, what could have been if we got Dylan Cease? I think that if the deal is on the table and you're not giving up your Jacob Marcy's, you're not giving up your Jackson Merrills, you're not giving up any other starting pitcher, you're giving up 3 prospects and a good reliever in Steven Wilson, I think that's a great deal for the Padres. And I'm going to get pushback on this because I've seen the pushback on this. But I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Someone told me to stop saying sorry, but that's just who I am. I think that this is the only thing that the Padres could have done with the deal on the table. They needed to bring him in. And if you look at his last year, and people will point to that, his last year was not very good. And so the Padres are getting a guy who's broken. Well, he's had 3 straight seasons with over 200 strikeouts. He's also had 3 straight seasons with over 150 innings. He's also had 3 straight seasons of, that's all I get. That's all I got. But he is, that was kind of embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. But he has had 3 straight seasons with the 200 plus strikeouts. That is for sure. Also 150 plus innings. That's what the Padres need. They need a guy, as Sam said many times last night, and he said it for a reason because it's true. Padres need a guy who's going to go out there and pitch 6-7 innings a night, if we're lucky, and put that bullpen on some rest. They absolutely need rest. And last year we saw that. Starting pitching was, we were happy with the starting pitching coming in to this year before Dylan Cease. But now you have what Tony called stability in the rotation, and that's huge because you're not going Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, who Michael King we know and we think is going to be a really good starter for them this year, but we still don't really know how he's going to handle a full season and how he's going to handle being a key piece of a rotation. So putting Dylan Cease in the 3 spot makes it real difficult for teams. They have to change up their complete plan now if they're going to come in and play a 3-game series with the Padres and it matches up with their first 3 pitchers, because no longer can they take the 3rd day of Michael King and kind of hope for something, because Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, you got to assume that they're going to be them. But the 3rd day now, Dylan Cease, you have a guy who finished very high up in the Cy Young rankings in 2022. And I can go on and on and on and on and on about how great this is for the Padres. I fully believe that it's great. He's also started, here's the last thing that I was looking for. He's also started 30 plus games in the last 3 seasons. That's huge. He's a workhorse. He is an absolute workhorse. And that's what the Padres needed. That's what the Padres got. And the rest is history. We're going to have to see. I mean, the pressure is now on Dylan Cease, because if you think about it, I asked Michael King in the beginning of January, what does it feel like to be the centerpiece of a trade? Well, he didn't want to answer that because he is a humble guy, and he did not want to say that he was the centerpiece of the trade, which I think that all of us can say he was. But Dylan Cease, he is the guy. They traded 4 players for 1 player. And so that's a lot of pressure, because now the Padres are expecting you to come here and to pitch well right out the gate. And if you're thinking about Michael King and you're thinking about Johnny Brito and you're thinking about all those other guys that came over from the Juan Soto trade, you got to think that pressure was spread out amongst them. Maybe some of the guys had higher weights to their pressure, but this is a great thing that you have guys that are experienced in big markets. Like the White Sox, they have a fan base that's very serious. The Yankees, of course, have a very serious fan base. And so they've already pitched under pressure. I think that also, although you can't measure it, I think that contributes to what I think they're going to do this year. And I just don't see the hesitance from some Padres fans out there as to why they're angry with giving away for these three prospects and Steven Wilson for Dylan Cease. I don't see it. And another thing, and I don't want this to seem like I'm talking directly to the Dylan Cease haters out there, but you're getting a guy who is major league ready. And Drew Thorpe, he looked good. He only pitched 7 innings in spring training for the Padres. Only 7 innings in spring training. So a very limited sample size for him. And as a guy who was a prospect hugger, now not a prospect hugger, I think that you needed to move on. And not to say that if this trade didn't come through, I think the Padres are very happy with keeping Drew Thorpe, but it was the guy that they needed to put in this deal to make it happen. He's the, what is it called? Linchpin, I think. He's the linchpin of this trade. Without Drew Thorpe, I don't think they're making this deal. And we've talked a lot about Steven Wilson. We've talked a lot about how he found out and how horrible it was for him. But it's just, if you think about Drew Thorpe, that's got to be a whirlwind of a last little bit. Since December when he was traded, he came over here and he's been working with the Padres. But he's been traded twice now in the last 3 months, and he's going to the White Sox. So he's kind of been bounced all over the country. I think it's a little bit easier for a guy like him. He's young. He is not major league ready yet, so they're going to put him in the minor league system. So he doesn't have the pressure to be there right away. Now, with the White Sox and where they're at with their development, I think he's going to probably have a chance sooner rather than later because they're going to need him. I'm seeing some stuff on the chat. So I'm going to go to break. I'm going to look at some of the stuff on the chat. And I'm also going to go and talk about my daily gripe. Again, someone said that my daily gripe was going to be me not on the plane for Korea. But I am, that's not it. It's something else, and it's based out of pure jealousy. Also, I want to talk about this Jackson Holiday, Paul Skeens, spring breakout. I want to talk about whether or not it's actually working for us. And I'll tell you what I mean when we get back here on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
with on-demand podcasts on the free Odyssey app. Download it today.
Thomas has trouble getting it. Now he's got it. Thomas at the horn. No! And the Aztecs survive. It nearly went in for Thomas to force a second overtime. But instead, San Diego State is back in the semifinals.
And
they got a really
that's
good.
The wrong one I put down. There we go. And San Diego State, as you heard, takes the game. And if you were watching the first half of that game, I don't think that you thought that they were going to take the game. I have a feeling that you think they probably lost because of how bad they were from three. I think I saw 0 for 9 earlier, and 0 for 9 from three in the first half. And then the second half, they came out and they were just shooting everything and making everything. Jaden Ladito, 34 points, 16 rebounds. He is incredible. And he actually was the one who won the game for the Aztecs. I know it's a team effort. I know it's all that. But Jaden Ladie, they drew up a play for him when they were down by 1 with around 20 seconds to go. And he was able to get the basket and put them ahead. And then they ended up going on winning 74-71. I think in the rankings of sports and dramatic moments, there's something about basketball when it's, shot clock is off, team is down by 1 or 2, and they need to score to either win or force overtime. That's some pressure. Jaden Ladie took that pressure and said, thank you, and then scored. So that's awesome. Very good. Chris looked very, very worried earlier. If you want to see worried Chris, go back to the Gwen and Chris live show from earlier today on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan. Tony just said LFGSDSU. I love that. Love LFGSDSU. That's pretty good. All right, so let's actually, before we move on, because I promised this to everybody, Gary Parrish of CBS Sports, he loves the Aztecs. I've been trying to get him on, but he's a busy guy, obviously, with all the basketball games happening right now. But here's Gary Parrish talking about the Aztecs win and talking about he's talking about right before halftime. So here he is. And now it's buffering. This is great. I had this all ready to go. I'm just going to refresh. There we go.
One thing in a basketball game, we all know that. But go back to right before halftime.
Oh, 3-point game.
Yeah. Remember, Kevin Kruger said, hey, no matter what, it's going to be a tough 20 minutes going forward. But that did take an 8-point game and turn it into a 5-point game. The turnover at the end of the first half and the three-pointer by Trammell, just a math problem. But if that never happens, at the end of regulation,
right,
UNLV has 3 more points than San Diego.
Yeah, you don't want momentum to shift, especially at a key time when you should just be able to get that ball in and then just go on to halftime. Doing that, sets you up for failure in the second half.
Yeah, and there'd be other factors along the way and all that. But yes,
but if you want to point to one thing,
we saw
it's never one thing. But if you want to point to one thing, point there.
3-point difference, right? Like a block extra point in the Super Bowl changed everything too.
Oh, man, I didn't even hear that last part. And he has to talk about the block extra point in the Super Bowl. Well, we're watching college basketball. I don't need to be reminded of the blocked extra point in the Super Bowl. Man, oh, man. I don't like that. I'll move on now. But, yes, the Aztecs, good stuff from them today. Go back, and you need to make sure that you watch that game, the end of the game at least. Go see the highlights. Clayton Cone on X, if you want to post to me. Is it Expo? I don't know. Tweet me. Fans like to see prospect rankings. Ben Davis was a top guy too, Matt Skraby. It's true, and I understand why fans want to see prospect rankings. I want to see prospect rankings. I am not a Major League Baseball scout. I really don't know how good a player is going to be, or if their what is it? Catcher crouch pop time is good enough, all that stuff. I'm not that guy. But I do like to see what the experts rank them as, because it gives me some sort of baseline for where I should be expecting these guys to play. And when these prospect rankings come out, it makes you feel good as a fan. It really makes you feel good as a fan, because you think, hey, my team's in good hands for the future. My team has prospects. My team has these guys that could be good one day. And so I'm happy about that, because I know that they're in waiting, and I may be able to get to see them in a Padres uniform. But prospects, as we said, are just prospects. Like you said, Ben Davis it was a top guy too. There are many guys that we could go through and see what they've done since they left. And quite frankly, I think more of them are going to be, and this is just for lack of a better word, they're going to be failures than they are going to be successes. But Dylan Cease, again, is a major league ready pitcher. He has struck out over 600 batters in the last 3 seasons at the major league level. So 600. He struck out over 600 batters in the last 3 seasons. I think that's pretty good. I can't get past that stat because you just don't see strikeout pitchers like that as much anymore. Let's go to the chat because I had some good chats here that I wanted to talk about. Jeff says they gave up prospects for a solid starter. Prospects are just that, prospects. Thank you, Jeff, for confirming my point there. Anthony, we're talking about who got it worse, Steven Wilson or Drew Thorpe. Thorpe got it worse. Went from a heralded franchise to a new up-and-coming exciting team, the Padres, and then the White Sox. That does stink. You are on the Padres, and all of a sudden you're on the White Sox. That is not fun. Javier says Cease will be even better than with the White Sox because Petco Park is more of a pitcher-friendly park, and not to mention the wind. Would not even be surprised if Cease wins a Cy Young, Skraby. Now that is high praise right there. Winning a Cy Young is certainly within the possibility, I think. So I saw this chat earlier, and I went... For some reason, I'm having a really hard time finding the actual MLB Stadium home runs from last year. But I think I found it on onlyhomers.com. So if I'm going to go to a place for home run advice, it's got to be onlyhomers.com, right? But I can't really use these too much because, oh, never mind. I can use these. All right. So Guaranteed Rate Field is where the Chicago White Sox play. And according to this, they gave up 191 home runs last year, the stadium itself. Petco Park last year, 170, which is a lot different than what I would have thought that Guaranteed Rate Field would give up a lot more home runs. But I think that Javier is right in the fact that Dylan Cease is going to be better in Petco Park. It's a harder park to hit a home run. He can work. He has more room to work with. The ball's not going to carry in that humid, hot summer air that it is in Chicago. And also, Dylan Cease is playing in the AL Central with the White Sox, so he's going to all these different hot, muggy, gross, sticky places, and those are not the best places to pitch. And so now he's coming to a place where it could be 65 at night. And it could be zero humidity, and it could be very comfortable. And I think he's looking forward to that. I mean, why wouldn't you look forward to that? I know I'm looking forward to that. Brito has been a good one also, says Wolfpack. Yeah, the Padres are in a much better spot than I thought they would be after they left for Korea. If you were to ask me a week ago, or not a week ago, let me take it back 3 weeks. If you were to ask me 3 weeks ago if you were confident in this team, and we're talking without Dylan Cease, I would have said probably need a lot of work for me to be confident in this team. But then you saw the performances of the younger guys in spring training. You saw the performances from the guys that came over from the Juan Soto trade, and they were good. And you see what you have. And now 3 weeks later, I'm feeling very good about the Padres as of this moment. And this roster could change. And this roster could take shape over the full year. But I think this roster as they have it right now, and I hate to say on paper because we said on paper a whole lot last year, the Padres are a playoff team. And Dylan Cease puts them over the top. I'm not going to say they're going to go deep playoffs. But when you have the rotation that you have right now, and you have the upside of the rotation like you have right now, I think there's some NOS teams like, shoot, now we got to go up against Dylan Cease as well. So I'm a fan of this move. I think it's a good move. I think that it's going to be exciting for Padres fans. I think that it's going to be exciting for baseball. And we're just going to have to wait now until Dylan Cease actually, what is the term? I always get these wrong. Toes the slab for the first time as a Padre. Could be in Korea. I'm not saying he's going to take Yu Darvish or Joe Musgrove's spot, but who knows? Maybe he comes out of the bullpen. Maybe he pitches one of those exhibition games. that they're going to play, which are airing on the station. Well, at least the first one on Sunday at 3 a.m. is airing on the station. So if you're up Sunday morning at around 3 a.m., you get to hear some Padres baseball from Korea. Also, we're going to be talking about spring breakout right here, which is the MLB showcase of their top prospects. But tomorrow on the station, we have a baseball game for everyone. Starting at 1 p.m., the Padres are going to do their spring breakout game against the Mariners, and our own Samuel Levitt is going to be calling the play-by-play. So if there's anything that you need to do tomorrow, cancel it. And make sure you're listening to your radio to hear Sammy Lev call play-by-play. Very excited for Sammy Lev. Very excited for the station. And when these games first came out, these spring breakout games, Yvette says, my excitement hasn't ceased since the trade took place. That's a good one. I like all these cease puns, by the way. They're pretty good. But if you were to ask me, when we first found out about these spring breakout games, number one, I think the idea is a good idea. I hated the name, but that's just me. I'm just a guy who I need a good name for me to be interested about something. So that's why I love thinking up segment names. I love thinking up different things like that because I really want to make sure people know what they're getting when I name something. But Spring Breakout was not my favorite name. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the name Matt Skraby. Get over the name Matt Skraby. Because it's actually, I watched a little bit of this game in the hour that was between Gwen and Chris and the Skraby show. And the Pirates prospects against the Orioles prospects. Pirates ended up winning 3-1. But I actually like this because it's giving me an opportunity to see the future of the league much before I would have seen them in the last couple years in my life, really, because these guys are talked about and they're highly touted, but at the same time, they aren't really the most, I guess, accessible to the day-to-day fan, like most of us. And Paul Skeens, number 1 overall pick, he plays for the Pirates, and he was going up against the Orioles, which is Jackson Holiday. I'll get to Jackson Holiday in just a second, but here is just a little compilation of what happened when Paul Skeens took the mound for his 1 inning of work tonight. I don't know what's up with the internet tonight. I have all these things ready to go, and then boom, it doesn't happen. So give me a second. This is getting crazy. Here we go.
By the Orioles out of Vanderbilt. And the first pitch strike.
101.
Well,
101.
That got eerily quiet right there, Brown.
101 again.
In a live
game out of LSU.
And he strikes
and
him
he
out
just
with
said,
a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. So there you go. Paul Skeens is doing it. I mean, it goes 3-pitch strikeout to open the game. 101, 101, 102. So that is pretty nuts. Now, Jackson Holiday on the other side, I got to say, he's talked about a lot by a lot of guys in baseball, by a lot of reporters in baseball, but I haven't seen much from Jackson Holiday so far in the spring training, and it doesn't really matter because I don't think that they were counting on him to be a huge part of the big league club this year. But he went 0-for-2 tonight, and he struck out in his at-bat against Paul Skeens. So you got the Jackson Holiday future of the Orioles kind of struggling here, but he's also very young and he needs some time. But with the pedigree that he has, that he is going to do some great things. You just got to say that. Man, is he related to Matt Holiday? Wolfpack says. Yes, it's his kid, his son. Javier says, cease the moment, Skraby. Love it. Pods fan says, could you see the Padres moving to a 6-man rotation in 2022? It worked well for us and preserved our arms for the playoffs. I could see it at some points through the year. I think that's what happened last year. In the last couple of years, is there were points of a 6-man rotation. I would have to go back and really look at the game log and see what happened in those games. But I think it's definitely on the table. It's something that the Padres are going to use to try and, like you said, keep those arms fresh. All right, it is time for my jealousy.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, my daily gripe, as I said, is pure jealousy, and it's going to be weird, everyone. By the way, this show goes so fast. I feel like I just sat down to start it. My daily gripe is guys that work out with their shirts off. Now, yes, I know. It's a hater take. I am not an Adonis. I mean, I have lost a lot of weight. I've lost 40 pounds thanks to SD fat loss. But I was watching these when I was driving into work. I got stopped at a light, and like a group of like 7 cross-country guys just come running by without their shirts on. And I find it very offensive. I find it offensive that those guys in their great-shaped bodies are running around with their shirts off. I guess I could run around with my shirt off, but no one wants to see that. No one wants to see me work out with my shirt off. But these guys, it made me jealous, and so that's why I'm griping about it. I just don't like to see it. And I know we live in San Diego, and I know it happens all the time, but wow. I mean, wow. I just can't get my mind to do it. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight. Again, wow, I can't believe this is over. We will be back with you tomorrow after the spring breakout game, so make sure you listen to Sammy Lev, support him, and then come hang out for the post-game show. Good night, everybody.